Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to talk to you about how to work out what you can safely and legally tow with your vehicle. I'm going to give you a quick overview to begin with of some capacities and limitations, and then I'm going to give you a specific example so that you can work it out using your car and your caravan. One of the key things that we need to remember is that the towing capacity of your vehicle is not a target. For example, just because your vehicle is rated to 3.5 tonne, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can tow that much with it, because the weight that you put into the vehicle will influence and limit that. Another common pitfall is putting too much weight into the vehicle. We need to keep the weight as low as possible and correctly distributed. I'm now going to talk to you about some acronyms and some definitions in relation to the weights of your vehicle. Take, for example, the 2023 model GXL 300 series Land Cruiser. This vehicle has a towing capacity of 3.5 tonne. The TARE weight of this vehicle is 2,580 kilograms. The TARE weight is the unloaded weight of the vehicle. It usually includes fluids like engine oil, but doesn't usually include a full tank of fuel. The next acronym we need to know for this vehicle is what's called the gross vehicle mass. This is the fully loaded vehicle, and in this case it is 3,280 kilograms. To work out how much weight we can put into this vehicle, we need to subtract the TARE weight from the gross vehicle mass, and that will give us 700 kilograms. 700 kilograms is the maximum amount of weight that we can put into this vehicle to ensure it's within legal parameters. The next acronym I'm going to talk to you about is called the GCM. GCM means gross combination mass. The gross combination mass relates to the fully loaded car and the fully loaded caravan when weighed together. This limitation is set by the vehicle manufacturer. In this case, with the 300 series Land Cruiser GXL, the gross combination mass is 6,750 kilograms. To ensure what we are towing is within safe parameters, we need to subtract the gross vehicle mass from the gross combination mass, and in this case it comes to 3,470 kilograms, which is within the towing capacity of the vehicle, so therefore it is legal. I'm now going to give you a specific example using this car and caravan. By doing this, it'll help you to be able to calculate what the limitations are for your vehicle so that you can stay within the legal parameters. I'll also show you where to find this information on your vehicle and your caravan, but let's start with the vehicle first. The example that we're using today is a 2015 model Subaru Outback, and it's towing a 2018 model A-van. The towing capacity of this vehicle is 1,800 kilograms. This information can be found in the owner's manual, online, and in this case it's on a data plate inside the driver's door. You may also hear reference to what's called an unbraked towing capacity. An unbraked towing capacity means a trailer or a caravan which does not have brakes fitted to it. The 1,800 kilogram limitation relates to a braked towing capacity. Let's now look at some specific details in relation to this vehicle. The TARE mass, or unloaded weight, of this vehicle is 1,662 kilograms. This information is generally found within the owner's manual of the car. However, in this instance, we actually had to search online for it because the information wasn't detailed in the owner's manual. Let's now look at the GVM for this vehicle, or gross vehicle mass, which is the fully loaded vehicle. In this case, it's 2,130 kilograms. This limitation is found on the data plate for the vehicle, and it's also detailed in the owner's manual. With the GVM, we can now calculate the payload for the vehicle. We do this by subtracting the TARE weight from the GVM, and we get 468 kilograms. That means the maximum amount of weight that I can put into this vehicle is 468 kilograms. We now need to consider passengers, luggage, aftermarket accessories and fuel, because all of these things contribute to that weight. Perhaps not applicable to this vehicle, but a lot of people put things like dual battery systems, steel bull bars, winches, canopies and draw systems into their vehicles, and this can often lead to the vehicle being over the GVM. A common mistake that first-time caravanners and campers make is taking too much stuff. The general rule that I have, if it goes on 2 trips with me and it doesn't get used, it doesn't come on the 3rd trip. Everything adds up. If it's not needed, don't take it. If we find that the vehicle is over the GVM, a lot of people consider doing a GVM upgrade. A GVM upgrade is completed by an authorised engineering company and involves the replacement of suspension and towing components so that you can handle the extra weight. Personally, I would consider taking less stuff, getting a bigger car or a smaller caravan. We've looked at the vehicle, its weights and its limitations, but it's not quite as simple as that. We now need to look at the weights of the caravan because that will influence the weight and how it's distributed on the vehicle. The TARE mass of this caravan is 1,455 kilograms. The TARE mass relates to the unloaded weight of the caravan as it comes from the manufacturers with whatever accessories are in it. This information can be found on a data plate in the caravan. Sometimes that data plate is located on the A-frame at the front, other times it can be inside the caravan door or in a storage compartment. The ATM of this caravan is 1,805 kilograms. ATM means aggregate trailer mass, and this relates to your fully loaded caravan when it is not connected to the vehicle. Once again, this information can be found on the data plate for the caravan. To calculate the payload, or how much we can put into the caravan, we need to subtract the TARE weight from the ATM. In this case, it equates to 350 kilograms. The next weight to consider is the gross trailer mass, or GTM. The GTM is the weight of your fully loaded caravan when it's connected to your vehicle. Now the GTM is going to be less than the ATM because you're now transferring weight onto the vehicle. How do we calculate this? We need to weigh it. Mobile Vehicle Weighing WA provides a mobile service. They will come to you to weigh your car and caravan. Mark from Mobile Vehicle Weighing WA has weighed and assessed more than 2,000 vehicle and caravan combinations over the last 3 years. And if you're an RAC member, you'll get a discount on their services. We'll add the link in the description for you. The next weight we're going to look at is the gross combination mass, or GCM. This weight relates to the combined mass of your fully loaded vehicle and your fully loaded caravan when they're together. The gross combination mass of this vehicle is 3,930 kilograms. This information can be found in the owner's manual, on a data plate, or on a vehicle specification sheet downloaded from online. This limitation cannot be exceeded. If you are stopped by the relevant authority and you're found to be overweight, you can be prosecuted for being over mass. A common mistake that people make is to load their caravan and their car with everything that they can find to take on holidays with them, and subsequently they blow their GCM out of the water. The next thing we're going to look at is tow ball mass. Tow ball mass relates to the amount of weight that the caravan places onto the tow ball of the tow vehicle when it's connected. This mass can vary between 8 to 12% of the vehicle's towing capacity. In this case, the vehicle's tow capacity is 1,800 kilograms. The recommended tow ball mass for that is 10%, which is 180 kilograms. The next thing to consider is axle load limits. This relates to the maximum amount of weight that you can put onto the axles of the caravan or the vehicle. These limitations are set by the vehicle manufacturer and the caravan manufacturer. It is possible to be within your gross combination mass limitation but still be over mass on a particular axle. For this vehicle, the maximum amount we can put onto the front axle is 1,150 kilograms. The maximum we can put on the rear axle is 1,200 kilograms, and the Caravan axle load limit is 1,700 kilograms. Let's now compare our actual with our limits in relation to the weights of our vehicle and caravan. Firstly, let's look at the vehicle. The TARE weight of the vehicle was 1662. The GVM of the vehicle was 2,130 as the limit. The actual weight of the vehicle when weighed was 2,046 kilograms. The payload of the vehicle, the limitation that we had, was 468 kilograms. The actual payload in the vehicle was 384 kilograms. Now let's look at the axle weights. For the car, the front axle limitation was 1,150 kilograms. The actual amount of weight was 965. The rear axle limitation was 1,200 kilograms. The actual weight was 1,081 kilograms, which was well within our limitation. Now let's look at our caravan. The TARE weight of our caravan was 1,455 kilograms. The ATM, or loaded mass of the caravan, limitation was 1,805 kilograms, and the actual weight of the caravan was 1,822. The ATM is a little over, but let's go through the rest of the numbers and then we'll come back to this one. GTM, or fully loaded caravan, when it's connected to the vehicle, the weight was 1,634 kilograms. The gross combination mass of the fully loaded vehicle and the fully loaded car together, the limitation was 3,930 kilograms, and it came in at 3,678 kilograms. Towball mass. We aim for 10%, which is 180 kilograms, but it came in at 188 kilograms, but that's still within the 8 to 12% range. The caravan axle limit was 1,700 kilograms. The weight on that axle was 1,634 kilograms. As a result of weighing the car and caravan, we can now see that we're within the gross combination mass limitation, but we're over with the ATM. To rectify this problem, we just need to move some of the weight from the caravan to the vehicle. We're 17 kilograms over with our ATM, but by removing a 20 kilogram toolbox from the front of the caravan and placing it into the back of the vehicle, we can now fix that problem. We're still within the safe range on the axle load of the vehicle, and we've reduced the weight in the caravan. This information can be used as a guide, but you will need to consider your own personal circumstances and requirements. But do your research. If you already have the vehicle, you will need to know what its limitations are before you buy a caravan, and vice versa. If you already have the caravan, you need to understand what is the best vehicle to tow that caravan. Ultimately, the safest and best way to work out your limitations is to get it all weighed.